Okay, we're up to Daf Ayin Gimel. We're up to Daf Ayin Gimel, and we're going to start a series of new shilas. We're going to start a series of new shilas. Okay, so Ayin Gimel Amid Aleph, and Boy Yirami Bar Chama, 3 lines from the top. Boy Yirami Bar Chama, Cheresh Mahu Sheyefel Ishtay. A cheresh. What's the halacha? Cheresh. What's the halacha of him being made for his wife? So if you look at the Ran, Boy Roim Barchama, Cheresh Mahu Sheyefel Ishtay, Cheresh Mehamadaber Be'ein Shemeya. He's a cheresh. He can speak and he can't hear. Usually, the Chalat Harakula, when we speak about a chashu, a cheresh shayt of a cotton, it's a person who cannot hear and not speak. But over here, since he has to do the act of hafara, you require him to speak. He has to be able to speak. So Ran tells us this cheresh cannot hear, cannot speak. So what's the shaila? He physically can't hear. So if he physically can't hear, can he go ahead? If you're going to tell me to be pushed the earlier shaila, which we said that the Baal has to hear the actual neder, the reason why he would not be able to, the reason he would be able to be mefer is because he physically has to hear. Aval cheresh, but when you're speaking about a cheresh, the lav who could not hear, right? What would it then be? So in other words, if you're going to be pushit that the person who, a regular healthy person who doesn't hear the neder could in fact be made for the neder, that's because in a normal scenario, he would be able to hear. On the other hand, a cheresh who can't hear, maybe even if he doesn't hear, it would not be what? He couldn't be made for, or no? Do we say you don't need to be able to hear at all? No difference whether it's a physical ailment, no difference whether what it is not a physical ailment, that the fact that you weren't there at all, that's the shaila. Now the Gemara in Menachos tells us that they used to have, it being carbon mincha, it would be bol b'shem and levina, they mix it together. And the largest carbon you can bring is 60 esrina. 60 esrina. So the luck is that if you bring it together, the soilus and the mincha usually should be mixed together. What happens if you don't mix it? It's not ma'akiv. It doesn't stop it from being accepted. It will be accepted. It will be fine. That's provided it's 60 and not 61. If it's 61, then it would not be accepted. You don't have to go ahead and mix it. So why would 61, which you can't mix, why wouldn't it be accepted since you don't need mixing? And the answer is you have to be able to mix it. So if you could mix it and don't, it works. If you can't mix it, right, it doesn't. So who then over here? If you don't hear, it'd be okay. But if you can't hear, it wouldn't be okay. Says the Gemara, let's be pushed the Shaila. I know the Rabbi Seira, the Shaila, exactly the case of Rabbi Seira from the Gemara in Menachos. Rabbi Seira, Kala Roy Labila, any carbon that's Roy to be mixed. In other words, physically you could do it. Ain Bil Makevis boy, if you don't do it, the act of mixing does not stop the carbon. However, in this case, 61 Esrainim, Bil Makevis boy. You see, you don't mix it. No, you have to have the capacity to mix it. Right? Says the Gemara. So over here as well, that's the one side that it should be okay. Maybe you don't have to hear it all. So that's the shaila. So Marava Tashma, the Shama Isha Prat Le'eshes Cheresh. So Shama Isha Prat Le'eshes Cheresh, that Eshes Cheresh, Shmamino, you can question the shaila that the Eshes of a Cheresh can, in fact, what? He can't be made for the neder. So let's be pushed from here, the shaila before. If it says Prat Le'esha, right? So we see that you have to be able to hear. So why yesterday we left off the shaila? Whether the person has to hear the neder or not, we remained unabayad lo'yivshita. We didn't answer the question. We can answer the question over here. You see, you have to be able to hear. So the Gemara says, no, it could be Shama Isha. Is that the Ran explains is derech agav. It could be derech agav. You're saying, and therefore, but therefore, dafka a cheresh who cannot physically hear, but in achinami it remains in a bayad lo'yivshita, whether a person has to hear it or not. But a cheresh that physically can't hear, clearly it'll be like Rabbi Seira's din. That just like the carbon mincha, you don't have to mix it, but you have to be able to mix it. Huadin, right? Even if you don't hear it, it's shilas, but you should have to be able to hear it. Iboilu, another shaila. Can a Baal go ahead and be made for 2 women at the same time? Right? What's the shaila? Oisei Dafka. The pasuk says, "B'yom sheshama isha yoni oisa." The day that he hears it, yoni oisa, he should waver it. He should take it off. So it says oisa. Oisa is singular. So it's a Dafka, only one woman. I love Dafka. So this guy, this is pre-Cher in the Raven Gershon. He has 2 wives. We want to know what the halacha is. Can he go ahead and take off the neder b'vasachas? Why should you be able to? You should not be able to, because it says I saw. Mashma only 1 at a time. How about 2 at a time? No. Would love dafka, just the way the pasuk is speaking, because usually you're married to one woman, and maybe love dafka. Rafina tashmalas we push the shaila, leinin the saita. Ein mashkin shtei saitas ka'achas. You can't go ahead and give 2 saitas to drink at the same time. If they shaliba gas b'chavei rasa. Let's see how the Ramban, the Ran explains this. If they shaliba gas b'chavei rasa. Shepamayim shechavei rasa tohayra. So you have 2 women. One was Tameya, she in fact was Mizaneh, and one wasn't. And now the Kohen goes through the protocol and warns her what's going to happen. That if she drinks this water, that stomach's going to blow up, go through the whole protocol. And so one is Tahira V Tameya, another one's Tameya. And when the one who's Tameya hears that the one who's Tahira says, I'm Tar, it's a human nature to not be able to tell the truth, because look, she's tahar, may go ahead and leave a gospel. She's tahar, I'll say I'm tahar also, and as a result, the yimachet shma, and it's going to go ahead, and you're going to be mochlik to shame the Shem HaKadosh Baruch Hu shenichta b'kedusha, because in the Parsha Saita we erase Hashem's name for shalom bayis, same as more in Saita. So it's very interesting how the Ran says we're not worried about her dying. Leave a gospel, she's going to drink the water and die, but we're worried about mechikas Hashem. So therefore, we don't do 2 at the same time. Why? Because of Mechikas Hashem. You're worried that what? You're going to go ahead and leave a gospel, and she wanted to miss the truth. Rabbi Yehuda says, Loimin Hashem Muzeh. This is taka not from the shame. This is not a pasuk. No, it's not a svar, I guess. Now the pasuk, it says, and you should give her to drink alone. Now there's no such pasuk. It says the hishka es hamayim, guys. So if you look at the Ran, it says the Ran, it's not because of Shaliba Gaspa. It's not for that reason. Again, it doesn't say Vihishka Isa. It says Vihishka with a mapik hey. It's Kilu Kasa Vihishka Isa. We're contracting the word together. Vihishka Isa, Vihishka. So it's like it's written Isa, which is Lashon singular. That means that they're her alone. So the raya is that Uriah is from Saita, that just like a Saita you drink alone, so to Nedarim is alone. That's one way to learn Pshat. Another way to learn Pshat is that what? The Raya is the Chachamim. By the Chachamim, Dafka over there, the reason why you don't do 2 at the same time is because of Saita. Because there's a Svara of Liba Gaspa. What happened to Svara is Ein Liba Gaspa? No, that doesn't apply like by Nedarim. Maybe you could do it at the same time. So there's 2 ways to learn Pshat over here, and the Ran feels like it's a longer Ran. You see the rest yourselves. Says the Gemara like it. Amid base. Now we know that there's 2 things that stop the Naira Marasa process. 1, she's no longer a Naira, but 2, she is a Nesua. So how do you get out of being a Naira? At 12 and 6 months, you become a Bageres. How do you get out of being a Narusa? You become a Nesua. So that would end the unique relationship of a farah between what? Between a father and a husband. We going back to Masechta Ksubis, to the earlier Dafim and to Daf Nun Vav. If the Arusa, what's the time period before the man has to marry her? And the answer is by a regular Arusa is 12 months. A Naira is 12 months. But Geres is Shailis, but Almana is 30 days. By Geres we had Machlokes Gemara. But Stamazoi is 12 months, and for an Almana is 30 days. What happens as soon as she reaches the 12-month mark? So then the husband has to begin to support her. The question is his need to support her also give him the right of bailis vis-a-vis taking off the neder? That's the shaila at hand. If you reach the time and she's not nichnas l'chuppah yet, but halachically we're going to force the issue to make him feed her, does that create the status of Nesuin that he should be able to take off the neder or not? Says the Mishnah. By Geres, and let's put a vav in here. Usheshasa yud beis chaydesh, or by Geres, and or a woman that you wait 12 months. Again, these are the two ways to go right becoming a suah. Va'almona lamed yoim. Rabbi Eliezer says, Rabbi Eliezer, hoyel ubayla chayiv b'zanaseha. Since her husband is chayiv to feed her at this point in time, Yafer, he has the ability to go ahead and take off a neder. It's not enough to be a halachic wife. You have to be an actual physically living in the rishus. So even though halachically you're supposed to go ahead and support her after 12 months or 30 days, nonetheless, regarding hafaras nedarim, to be the baal in hafaras nedarim, you have to mamish go ahead and be in what? In the rishus. Now it's very interesting. Let's see the Ran over here. The Ran says, Hoyelu Baila Chaim is on those 2 lines down. Kidnan Perak Afapi. Did Noisn Lebesula Lo Yubes Chaydesh. Ulach Mikan Chayiv Bezanoseha. Kidetnan Hegias Man V'Lei Nasu. If you reach the time you don't get married, Echeles Mishaloy, she eats from him, and if he's a Kayin, she will eat me the Raisa Truma. Yafal Levado, but should foster the Av. Let's say she had been a Katana and been married, and she's still a Naira. Nonetheless, after 12 months, and she's still a Naira, she would lose the status of being an Arusa. She'd be now considered a Nesua, even though she's in years a Naira. The Chachamim, who's the Chachamim? Says the Rana Yisoid, Hainu Rebbe Yeshua, who got put to their Eliezer b'chol duchte. So anytime you have a machlokes in the Gemara between Rebbe Eliezer and the Chachamim, the Rana is telling you that Chacham is the famous Rebbe Yeshua ben Hananya. Okay, so now we're going to have a very interesting Gemara. The Gemara is going to tell us that Rebbe Eliezer, who says that le'inyan hafaras nedarim, a man is considered after 12 months, even though they're physically not living together, the Baal, you can go ahead and sushtel it to the Inyan Wat of Truma. Okay, guys, let's go back in time, the foreshadow from the outside. We know that Aspo, we know that when a person is anyone that's kinyan kaspo of a kohen goes ahead and eats truma. So if you go ahead, right, if you go ahead and buy an animal, that animal, if you're a kohen, is going to eat truma because that animal is kinyan kaspo. A man is mekadesh anisa, usually uses kesef. She's kinyan kaspo. So therefore, a woman halachically eats truma. She eats truma. That is as soon as they get married. That's a feeling when she's in Arusa. Midaraisa, even when she's in Arusa, she will be able to eat truma. However, you might remember from Ksubis, we gave 2 reasons why that Midaraisa, even though the Raisa she does eat, Midarabana, we're going to stop it. One, because of simpum, that after they get married, let's say she's eating truma the whole time she's in Arusa during that 12-month period. He marries her and he finds a mum. And he says that this is a mekach tois. I never was married to her. So retroactively, it would have been that she ate truma when she wasn't allowed to. So because of simpum, during that 12-month period until he actually lives with her to check out to make sure she is mum free, she would not be able to eat truma. A second reason was, since she's living in mommy's and daddy's house, what are you worried about? That if she brings truma into the house, perhaps her father or her mother or some relative that lives in the house might accidentally eat truma, and that's going to create a chiyuv of keren v'chaimish, and therefore we go and we go ahead and we say that no. So therefore you don't eat. That's the rabbanon the kedin. But again, midaraisa, she's kinyan kasbay, and she does eat. So now we're going to tzushtel this inyan of eating truma to Rabbi Eliezer's din of hafaras nedarim. We're going to make it tzushtel, and the Gemara is going to end up saying, in fact, it's not necessarily a tzushtel. Amar Rav, says Rav. Rabbi Eliezer u'mishna rishayna amru davar echad. Rabbi Eliezer and the Mishnah Rishayna, the Mishnah that they learned before they changed it, davar echad saying the same thing. What are they saying? That as soon as you reach 12 months, automatically you're in the rishus of the husband, despite the fact you're not living together. Did not. Noisnul besula yubes chaydesh lefarnesh atzma. After a besula gets married, she's an arusa. We give her 12 months to go ahead and put a trousseau together. Hegia and the wedding party and everything else. Hegia yud beis chaydesh. Once you get to tul beis chaydesh, and he does not take her, he doesn't consummate the marriage, he doesn't do the second stage, what we call the suin, automatically Oichelis mishaloi, she eats from him, and if he is a kohen, oichelis betruma, and you eat truma. So l'chayr, what do you see? You see that what? That she is considered a halachic wife, le'inyan truma. So who adin to our Mishnah, Rabbi Eliezer, she is considered a halachic wife, right? She's considered a halachic wife, even though they're not living together in the Inyan Hafaras Nedarim. Okay, side point, not to do, I already gave you the Tzushtel. Aval a Yavam ain't a Meichel b'Truma. A Yavam does not eat Truma. Let's say a woman is married to a Kayin. She dies without children. She's now falling to the brother. So she was eating Truma when she was married to a dead husband. Now, l'chayrish, she should be able to eat Truma because she's falling to his brother. Nonetheless, he's Kinyan Achiv. She's not Kinyan Kaspai. Since she's not Kinyan Kaspai of the Yavam, therefore you don't eat Truma. She's not Kinyan Kaspai of the Yavam, you don't eat Truma. That's what the Gemara says. So it says again, you have the Tzushtel already. I'm just finishing off the Baisa. Shisa Chadashim B'fnei Abal, V'shisa Chadashim B'fnei Yavam, V'afilu Kulam B'fnei Abal, Chasa Yamechad, even missing one day. Oy Kula B'fnei Hayavam, Chasa Yamechad, Eina Oichelis B'Truma. You're not going to go ahead and eat Truma. So it doesn't matter. You're not going to eat Truma. Right? And Zu Mishnah Rishayna. And this is the Mishnah Rishayna. Bezdin Shel HaCherim. Now this is the next Mishnah. The Bezdin Shel HaCherim Amru. They say, Eina Isha Oichelis B'Truma. Right? Ad Sheti Konis L'Chuppah. Shimon, I have to tell you, Shimon, you're the only thing that's being recorded now. So you should be aware. I don't see myself. I see you. And I don't know how to get myself. So be aware for posterity, your picture is going to be on here. So whatever you do will be on there. Okay? So be sure you keep your keto diet. I want to make sure that you're on the up and up. No carbohydrates. Okay, good. Anyway, so this is the Mishnah Rishayna, guys. The Mishnah Rishayna is that midaraisa you'd eat, and however, Bezin Shalachem Amru, Eina Isha Eichelis B'Truma Ad Shetikanis L'Chuppah. And what's the reason? Two reasons. One, because a simple you may find a mum. Or secondly, you may go ahead and feed it to you. If you bring it home to your house, you may feed it to your family. That's according to the Mishnah Shniya. Obviously, she's not in the Rishus yet because you're not eating Truma. But according to the Mishnah Rishayna, you're eating Truma. Now, why the Mishnah Rishayna? Why are you not worried? The answer is that we saw the Gemara in Kesubas and Vav. It said that if you're worried about mumim, they could check up beforehand. If you're worried about eating, you can be at a place. So therefore, the Mishnah Rishayna held those concerns are not a concern because we have a workaround. How do we work around it? You go ahead, you have someone physically go ahead and check it and make sure there's no mum. Therefore, you don't have the concern of mekach twice afterwards, 12 months. And you're worried about going ahead and feeding, so you can be miyach at a place where the truma will only be towards her and not her rest of her family. So therefore, the Mishnah Rishayna held you fully married, and therefore she eats truma. Who adin Rabbi Eliezer and Mishnah, after 12 months, she's considered an asua that you can go ahead and take from the daughter. So that is the Tzushtel to our Gemara, to Mishnah Rishayna, to Rabbi Eliezer. Amalei Abayas is Abaya, the Malahi, maybe it's not a good Tzushtel. Ad kan loikam ashmina Mishnah Rishayna, elul meichel b'truma d'Rabbanan. Pirish. She really, that you can eat truma, right? The holy reason, midaraisa, you can eat truma. The whole reason we're stopping you is the Rabbanan. The concern of simpum, with the concern of what maybe you're going to feed it to your family. So maybe over there, since the concern is only the Rabbanon, and we have a workaround, because you can go ahead and check a for woman, and you go ahead and be miyach a place for them to eat. Maybe in that scenario, the Mishnah Rishayna holds she's married. Album Nedarim deraisa, but the Mefer Neder deraisa when only the Isha Yekimenu, the Isha Yefirenu, it's got to be her husband. Maybe it's not considered a husband until they're physically living together, and not just because the 12 months has passed. So therefore, you're not, again, I have a reason to go ahead and be machalik that the Mishnah Rishayna would not agree with our Mishnah. The Mishnah Rishayna were makel to say that watch each truma because we have a workaround, and therefore the whole list is the Rabbanan, and I can work around it. Guys, don't make a mistake to say that the Ichilish truma is the Rabbanan. We're not speaking about truma Rabbanan. We're speaking about truma deraisa. We're speaking about truma deraisa. Right? We're not speaking about that. And says the Gemara, and when Rabbi Eliezer said you could take off neder, maybe because there's a special din by nedarim. What's that special nedarim that would allow you to take off the neder even though you're not married yet? Meaning that the marriage wasn't in the sewer consummated yet. Kidra Pinchas, Mishmei Derava. Dama, who's of the opinion, call her nederes al das baila he nederes. Anyone who makes the neder is making the neder al das baila. Anyone who makes the neder is making the neder al das baila. Aval true meaning when she made the neder, she has in mind, you know what? Obviously, I'm going to be married, and the whole marriage, the whole purpose of the marriage is what is the rabbanon. So I have that concern. So I'm not my husband. In other words, I'll buy my husband is only my concern. So I make the neder, and I know my husband will take it off. So since this person is going to be my husband, I had that in mind. If Rabbi Eliezer says you can take it off. Avol truma, I feel with the rabbanon, even if there's only this is the rabbanon because it's simple, because of Shemi Alchila the Beis Baila, Beis Avia, Nami lo yachla. Maybe there we agree as well. So in other words, you're not locked in. The Mishnah the Gemara wanted to suggest that Chav Hatalia, one is dependent upon the other, and we're not locked into saying one is dependent upon the other. Let's go through the Tzut Stadim. The first din of our Mishnah is the what says Rabbi Eliezer. As soon as you get to 12 months, you can take off the neder. The Mishnah says as soon as you get to 12 months, you could eat truma. As soon as you get to 12 months, you could eat truma. So let's say, meaning she's considered married in truma, she's considered married in Nedarim, they're saying the same thing. Says Abaye, no, there's a big difference. By our Mishnah, the reason of by the Rabbanon, the whole reason you should be able to eat truma, because there's a workaround for this the Rabbanon. You can go ahead and check her from woman. You can go ahead and miyach a place, and therefore you can eat truma. Mashen came how far is the Nedarim, which is the Raisa. Maybe you physically have to be living together. Or the other way around, the other side. I come a Rebbe Eliezer over there by Nedarim, because by Nedarim there's a unique concept, svara, a very strong svara, that the whole reason when a woman makes a neder, she's making neder al das baila, that she's in the jurisdiction of her husband. And the husband go ahead and take it off at any time. And therefore Rebbe Eliezer lies by Hafaras Nedarim, even though they're not living together, but she's a baila, he's a baila, take it off. Mashen came by what? By Nedarim, there's no such svara. Perhaps the Rebbe Eliezer would agree that when you Higiyah's man, and when you reach the time of marriage, you would not be able to eat truma. Everyone should have a great Shabbos. I appreciate everyone listening.